Welcome to Headstones and Microphones, where we use AI to step into the past through a researched, first-person simulation of history's most interesting people. I am your host, Calvin. While we've added some creative storytelling, our goal is to inspire your own study of these fascinating lives. Now, let's meet our guest. I am so incredibly excited for today's guest. He is a man who taught us all how to read, how to imagine, and how to stay young at heart. For those who may somehow not know who you are, who are you?
Hello, Calvin. Most people know me as Dr. Seuss, the fellow who brought you The Cat in the Hat and The Grinch, but my friends just call me Ted.
It's an honor, Ted. Let's start at the very beginning. When and where were you born?
I was born on a bright day, March 2nd, 1904, in Springfield, Massachusetts. It was a lovely place to start a life.
And what was your given name at birth?
My full name was Theodor Seuss Geisel. Quite a mouthful for a little fellow, isn't it?
Is there a story behind your birth name?
Well, Theodor was for my father, but Seuss was actually my mother's maiden name. People often pronounce it Seuss nowadays, but in the German tradition my family followed, it was actually pronounced Seuss. It rhymes with voice.
That is a great bit of trivia. What was your hometown like growing up?
Oh, Springfield was a wonderland for a curious boy. We lived on Howard Street, and my father and grandfather were brewmasters. But my favorite part was the Springfield Zoo. My father would take me there on Sundays, and I'd bring along a pad and pencil to sketch the animals. They never quite looked like real animals when I was done with them, though. They always had a bit more Seuss in them.
I can imagine those early sketches were something else. What was your family life like?
It was warm and very close-knit. I was especially close to my sister, Margaretha. My mother, Henrietta, was a marvelous woman. She used to soothe us to sleep by chanting rhymes she remembered from her youth. I really believe I got my love for rhythm and rhyme from her.
That's beautiful. What kind of kid were you?
I was quite the explorer. I loved the outdoors and had a very active imagination. I remember a stuffed dog my mother gave me. I kept that little fellow close to my drawing board for my whole life, as a symbol of that happy childhood.
Did you have any big fears growing up?
I think like many children, I had those moments of uncertainty. But I always felt that if you had brains in your head and feet in your shoes, you could steer yourself away from the scary parts.
What did you dream of becoming as a child?
My father really hoped I would become a college professor. I even went to Oxford to try and make that happen, but I found myself doodling flying cows and strange beasts in my notebooks instead of taking notes on literature.
Those doodles certainly paid off. What were some of your favorite activities in school?
I loved working on the school humor magazines. At Dartmouth, I was the editor-in-chief of the Jack-O-Lantern. It was where I really started to find my voice, even if I did get into a bit of trouble for a party we threw.
Speaking of work, what was your first job?
My first professional sale was a cartoon to the Saturday Evening Post for $25. It gave me the courage to move to New York City and really try to make it as a cartoonist. Shortly after, I got a job with Judge magazine.
Was there a moment where you realized you were different from everyone else?
It might have been that high school art teacher who told me I'd never be an artist because I didn't follow the rules. I realized then that my brain just didn't see the world in straight lines, and I was perfectly okay with that.
What's a decision that changed everything for you, but felt small at the time?
Using bug spray in a cartoon. I drew a cartoon about Flit insecticide, and an advertising executive's wife saw it. That led to a 17-year campaign with the phrase, "Quick, Henry, the Flit." It gave me the financial freedom to eventually focus on my books.
Quick, Henry, the Flit. A classic. What was your biggest break?
It was definitely that Flit campaign. It made me a household name in the advertising world long before I was known for children's books. It's funny how a little bug spray can change your life.
What were your biggest struggles before success?
Oh, the rejections. My first children's book, and to think that I saw it on Mulberry Street, was rejected by over 20 publishers. I was almost ready to burn the manuscript until I ran into an old friend from Dartmouth on the street who had just become an editor.
Talk about perfect timing. Did you ever consider quitting?
There were days in New York, tramping from office to office, being tossed out of publishing houses, where I wondered if I should just give up. But I always felt that if you stay the course, you'll eventually find your way unslumped.
Were there any daily habits or routines essential to your success?
I loved working with constraints. I once wrote an entire book, Green Eggs and Ham, on a bet that I couldn't do it using only 50 different words. I found that having limits actually made me more creative.
What job would you have had if fame never happened?
I likely would have been that professor my father wanted me to be. I might have been a very odd professor, though, with a blackboard full of Zelfs and Quiggermabugs.
What was your life like before fame?
It was a lot of hard work and, quote, tramping around cities looking for a break. But it was also filled with wonderful people like my first wife, Helen, who was the one who encouraged me to stop studying literature and start drawing for a living.
How did relationships change after success?
I found that I was able to collaborate with so many talented people. I began using the name Theo, Lessig, which is Geisel spelled backward, for books I wrote but others illustrated.
Did fame bring happiness?
Happiness for me came from the work, from knowing I was making reading fun for people, not just children. I always said I didn't write for children. I wrote for people.
What was the downside of becoming famous?
Sometimes people expected me to be a certain way, very didactic or preachy. But I just wanted to tell stories that were fun and imaginative, without always telling kids exactly how to behave.
What misconceptions did people have about you?
Many people were surprised to learn that I never had biological children of my own. They'd ask how I understood them so well, and I'd just say I treated them like equals.
Tell me about a time when everything went wrong and how you handled it.
Once, during a bad storm on a ship, I started writing to take my mind off the weather. The rhythm of the ship's engine actually gave me the beat for my first book, Mulberry Street. I turned a scary situation into a story.
Who had the biggest influence on your life?
My mother for the rhymes, and Helen Palmer, who saw the artist in me when I only saw a struggling student.
What was life like in your final years?
I lived in La Jolla, California, in an old observation tower. It was a peaceful place to keep dreaming.
What were you working on before you passed away?
My final book was Oh, the Places You'll Go. It was my way of saying goodbye and giving everyone a little pep talk for the journey ahead.
When and where did you pass away?
I passed away on September 24th, 1991, in my home in La Jolla. I was 87 years young.
What's a random fact about you most people have never heard?
I am the person who invented the word nerd. It first appeared in my book, If I Ran the Zoo, in 1950.
You invented nerd? That's incredible. What's the craziest rumor ever told about you?
People sometimes thought I didn't like children because I didn't have any, but that wasn't true at all. I just respected them too much to talk down to them.
What was your most unique habit?
I had a closet full of hundreds of hats. If I ever got writer's block, I'd go into the closet, pick a secret hat, and wear it until the ideas started flowing again.
That explains so much. Ted, do you have any closing remarks about the interview or the stories you shared that you would like to share with the listeners before signing off?
Oh, just that life is a grand adventure. Don't be afraid of the waiting place, and remember that you have the power to steer yourself in any direction you choose. Thank you so much for having me, Calvin. It's been a real hoot.
What a legend. From inventing the word nerd to writing books on a 50-word bet, Dr. Seuss truly showed us that creativity has no bounds. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Ted. And that wraps up another conversation from Beyond the Grave. Thanks for joining us on the Headstones and Microphones podcast. Remember, legends may die, but their stories never do. Please help spread the word by sharing and following the pod.